problem child, but a problem child nevertheless. But not an excuse, it's just the truth. But yeah, I failed my English ones because I don't know how. Well, I didn't fail them. I passed them, but like I got like the bare minimum for a pass, which is I think it was mostly due. Fuck's sake, this is what I mean. Stuff like this. It was mostly down to the. I was gonna say mostly due to, but I was like due down to. No, I was mixing up my phrases. I was gonna say down to or due to. It was mostly down to the my stuttering and essentially what I just did then, where my brain had two different ways of saying something. Because again, written word I can do quite well for the most part. Like I do work decently on it. My friend who writes is way better than me, but like I have a good enough grasp over it to, you know, think of two like alternative ways of saying something. It's just unfortunate when I'm speaking it, my brain does both of them, or try to put both of them into one sentence, which is probably why I did so shit in my spoken word. Though at the same time, spoken word's bullshit. I don't know why we had to do that. Not like my handwriting was any fucking better, to be fair. My handwriting is legitimately one of the worst things I've got. Like, I suck at handwriting completely. I don't know why. Like, I couldn't for the life of me explain why my handwriting is so piss poor. So it used to be great when I was a kid. Like, I used to have I used to be told that my handwriting was really, really neat. And I'm talking about the age where your handwriting's meant to be, you know, pretty garbage, and you're learning cursive and that for the first time. My handwriting was apparently really good. Fuck knows why, but apparently it was. But it is absolutely garbage now, and it was garbage all the way through high school. And like, no real reason for it to be as shit as it was. Right, he drove into me. There was no giveaway sign. He was the one merging. He drove into me, game. Fuck you. Just rude, honestly, just rude. I'm gonna pull straight over here because these guys are gonna take forever if I don't. But yeah, handwriting, spoken word, not great. But I mean, for the most part, like, I think school is one of those things where like they have to teach you the bare minimum, which is fine. Like, teach me about science, teach me history, teach me English, teach me your like whatever language is your basic and like, you know, cursive, right, whatever. But I feel like there are certain things in those classes that do not help you. Like, don't get me wrong, spoken word's technically useful, but just by speaking, you're doing the spoken word. Like, why did I need to do like a spoken word essay? Like, I don't like stuff like that I don't get. Like, it's the reason why I needed to stand in front of like, you know, stand in front of my teacher while she recorded me speaking. Especially when I had like bad anxiety when it came to talking in front of a class or talking in front of someone. So that just absolutely made it 10 times worse. And I still do, actually. I think that's the one thing I don't like doing. Even working in retail, which has gotten me a lot better at talking to people in general and, you know, generally not giving a shit about, like, most shit when it comes to, like, talking to people and stuff. But the idea of talking to, like, an audience and having them listen to you, I fucking hate it. It's not for me. In terms of, like, publicly. YouTube, stream, stuff like that, I really don't care. Like, it's so much easier when you're in your own comfort zone, you know? Alright, we'll be back in France in a moment. We're absolutely blitzing through this journey so far. think we're currently at Santander. Map doesn't say. I'm assuming we are. Give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm gonna take some mints because got a very parched throat. These will help keep some liquid in there. Get me salivating, you know? There we go. Already started to fix my dry throat or dry mouth. But yeah. Essentially, yeah. I just don't understand like certain things, and I don't like doing spoken word stuff. It was definitely my least favorite thing in school, which is surprising. I had a big list of shit I didn't like to do. One of those was religious education. I fucking hated it. And the worst thing is, I didn't hate it because of the learning. I legitimately found it interesting because it was when I was in school, religious education was still more about like the historical context of religion and stuff. It wasn't really more the modern acceptance and stuff like that, which, I mean, I really couldn't give a shit if it was, but like, to me, I loved history, and history was like the one class I always did well in. So like, RE, for me back then, like, obviously there was a lot of historical stuff, and because of that, me being a history buff and having a granddad who was a history buff, and my dad before he passed away being a history buff, so, you know, a lot of like historical buffs in the family, and obviously made me into a massive history buff in certain like periods. When historical inaccuracies would pop up, and my teacher would essentially teach everyone something that is incorrect, or at least like it was said in the book, but you know the book was wrong, which I don't think added. I think added to the reason she was so pissed off at me half the time, because I would be like, I would correct the book, use my phone to prove I was right, and be like, yeah, look, you're wrong, bitch. But essentially, while she was speaking, I would go out of my way to correct her if she was wrong. And, you know, I didn't do it from the perspective of like, oh, you know, fuck this teacher, she's a twat. I mean, don't get me wrong, my teacher was a bitch, like an absolute bitch. But I never did it from the aspect of like, oh yeah, I've got to show this teacher up. It was more of a, wait a minute, isn't that wrong? You know, that's wrong, miss. You know, that's not correct. Like, I think one of the things I corrected her on was the jihads and the crusades, which, let's just say, that got me kicked out of class very quickly. And if I'm remembering correctly, I corrected her on the fact that the jihad, like someone saying that I think the book said, and she obviously was parroting the book, saying, this is like over 10 years ago, so I'm trying to remember it just off the back of my head. I know it had to do with jihads, because I'm pretty sure it was the book was saying that jihads were essentially defensive wars, or like they were defensive wars in response to the Crusades, which you can justify. You can say there were wars in response to the Crusades, but they were not defensive wars by any means. They were aggressive wars. Because if I remember, I cannot remember exactly what jihad means, but like the Crusades, they were an offensive war by the other side. They were by no means defensive, and which one thing a lot of people forget is, realistically, there's barely any defensive wars in the world, ever. And I don't mean that in the sense of, like, someone getting attacked isn't being defensive. I mean that if there's, like, the antithesis of the Crusade, or the opposite of the Crusades, is the Jihad, because that was waged by the other side against them. And now, the reason I say it's the antithesis is, technically, it's the exact same thing. But to a lot of people, it's considered the antithesis, because people justify the, or like to say that the Crusades are wars of aggression, whereas the Jihads are wars of reclamation. when in reality they were both wars of reclamation, just both done from a different perspective of religion, with Crusades being the reclamation of the Holy Land, which was stolen from them in the rise of the Muslim Caliphate during 600 and 700 AD, stolen from the Romans and the Christians living there to plant the new Muslim faith in the region. The Muslim faith being essentially a kind of like diverging faith from Christianity, because they too worship God or Allah. They also believe in Jesus and other key figures in Christian history, and I believe also Judaic history or Judaic scripture. Obviously, the only difference being, how they view it and the order of order of sainthood, I believe, something like that. Order of people who are important. I'm gonna move that guy. Well, yeah, while that guy gets close to me, I'll move. So yeah, obviously, I don't care about anything about religion. I just care about the historical contexts of it. And I'm trying to remember what I was gonna say. Shit, I forgot. But yeah, a lot of people will like to justify, and I don't understand why, they like to justify that the jihads were defensive. And they just weren't. They weren't. Don't get me wrong, the Crusades were very, very, very violent, but so were the jihads, and, they were both very violent. They were both to reclaim what was lost to them. The jihads reclaimed, they reclaimed the Holy Land eventually in Antioch and all that from the Crusader states, and re-established control of the Caliph. Whereas the Crusades obviously created the Crusader kingdoms and whatnot. But yeah, correcting my teacher on stuff like that, especially when the book was yes, the jihads were pretty. Again, I'm paraphrasing because I do not remember exactly, but they were yes, jihads were a retaliation or a response to the. I'm pretty sure the word retaliation wouldn't have been used because that would have made it sound aggressive. You get my point, though. Textbooks and teachers, they really just, especially that teacher, she just did not listen, did not like being corrected. I mean, realistically, I'd hate being corrected too as a teacher, but what are you gonna do, eh? I'm 27 now, I can't go back and change it, nor fucking would I. It is fun to remember little shit like that, though. Just remember, everyone, don't live in the past. View the past as fun or funny, but never ever try to live in the past. It doesn't fucking work. It's also boring. As they say, always keep moving forward, guys. Now, damn, those mints made my dry throat go away, and I'm happy about that. I'm still looking forward to seeing how much money we make. It's gonna be great. I mean, no matter what, we're definitely getting the garage after this job easily. Even if they only make say if we had 35 grand, all they would need to make is 55? No, 65 grand. Oh, they'd actually need to make quite a bit, to be fair. But, yeah, maybe we won't get it straight after this. Oh no, we have got the 84 grand we can take out. So yeah, we could easily get it after this. But obviously we still need to buy a second garage. No, we don't. We just need to buy Dover because we've got Calais. I've just bought Calais. I'm so dumb sometimes, guys. I apologize. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so we're up to 6-7 grand. So they only have to make us like 23 grand. I do apologize for looking, but all right, let's get back to this. So yeah, I have no clue what I was saying anymore. I just like my brain went really quiet. Yeah, I don't actually remember. Fuck. I know we finished the conversation about like our religious, like by our school teaching and stuff like that, and you know the fact that don't live in the vats and all that bullshit.
Keep right.
But yeah, we're definitely gonna get this by today. I think we're easy. We may even get an extra trucker as well. I would like to get to. I'd like to get a few, but at the very least, well, I would like one.
Keep left.
So, we need to replace the DAFs as well at some point in the fleet. I think we'll replace that like when we fill up these garages, we might replace it. I don't know. It's the idea of having to replace all of them, like, well, we'll figure. Oh wait, we made 1 million. Hey, we've hit the milestone of 1 million in 7 days. I'm actually quite happy with that. That's made me very happy. Yeah, we'll see how much it costs to sell the DAFs, and then we'll, after we get, you know, all of the drivers for these the next garages, we may, you know, spend some time investing in the Scanias. Because it'd probably be worth it, to be fair.
Keep right, and then exit right. Exit right.
Slow down here. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how much it's gonna. I think we're gonna get like maybe 60 grand for each DAF, which is just under half of what we need for you know, each Scania. I do hope we can get more than, I think, oh, as long as we can get half the price of a Scania, that should be enough, I guess. It means, like, however many Scanias we need, we'll have half the cost, so we just have to then, you know, make the other half, which won't be a problem by the time we have another 9 drivers. I mean, realistically, we could probably do it now if we didn't want to keep expanding the business. We'll figure it out. We've got, you know, we've got a while. Probably another stream or 2 before we fill up those garages. Depending on how, obviously, what jobs we get out of Frankfurt and whatnot. And how long I go for the stream tonight. Because, well, I don't know how long I'm going to stream. We're going to stream at least 2 hours, though. That's like the minimum, 2 hours, and to achieve our goals. After that, it's really just depending on how I feel on the day. It is Trucking Tuesday, so I do want to try and do a little bit, but I've been feeling really shit lately, so we'll just have to see, you know? One second, guys. I'm just putting some different music on again because just need to that's there we go. Sorry about that, guys. Just want to put some Sleep Token on because, you know, Sleep Token off, you gotta worship them, you know. Oh, fucking hell. So yeah, we'll sell the DAFs at some point. I'm gonna feel kind of shit to get rid of DAFs, but they're just not as good money makers as the Scanias. Like, on average, the Scanias are making more with less experienced drivers, so I feel like that, to me, just proves that the Scanias that are less powerful but are on average making them more money. That's, to me, that kind of says that they're better. That could be obviously missing the fact that maybe, you know, the DAFs are doing longer jobs, but they should still be making more on average because, you know, they're doing longer jobs, and longer jobs typically equal more money. But yeah, some of the DAF drivers just aren't doing as good as I'd want them to, and I'd rather put them in a Raven Scania, so we, you know, the Ravens can take over the world, you know. We'll have to see, though. Nothing's concrete. Haven't really decided what we'll do, but we'll see. I mean, at this point, we still have to get through, obviously, we still have to get this garage and, you know, do what we need to do. That's more important at the moment. Should hopefully be getting near to our rest point as well, which is about halfway. We turning off here? Because it looks like we are. Yes, we are. We're in the wrong lane, which means we need this lane. Beautiful. This should be just before the rest point, so we should be good. We are getting pretty tired in the game, so let's hope that the rest point is soon, so we, you know, can rest. let's kick this into gear. We are coming off in again in a second, that's fine. I am looking forward to seeing how what Frankfurt's like now that it's been upgraded and essentially, you know, brought to the current standard of quality that, you know, all the new expansions have had, like, you know, like Iberia and Italy
right.
and the
And then
Balkan
exit
states
right.
so far and stuff like that.
Exit right.
I do not know why this is for